You can never have too much of a good thing. It's a saying that I'm sure we've all heard at some point in our lives. We may even have said it when referring to sex or any other sexual activities. But is it true? Can you have too much sex? That's what we'll take a look at today in this episode of InfoYeti. Can you die from sex? But before we jump into this, be sure to press that subscribe button to help us out if you haven't already. The leading cause of death when having sex is sudden cardiac arrest. Sudden cardiac arrest is an electrical malfunction in the heart that causes an irregular heartbeat. The pumping of blood gets disrupted and the heart is unable to pump blood to our vital organs, and the person loses consciousness and has no pulse. In a research study performed by doctors in Portland, Oregon, they examined more than 4,500 cases of cardiac arrest occurring over a 10-year span. In these cases, they only found that 34 of those were linked to having sex in the hour before. In the study performed, 32 men and 2 women were victims of SCA, or sudden cardiac arrest. In statistical terms, that means 1 in 100 sudden cardiac arrests happen in men and 1 in 1,000 happen in women when influenced by sex. In the study, they found that males under 65 were more likely to receive a sudden cardiac arrest than someone over 65, and that African Americans were more likely to be affected than any other ethnic groups. Compared to exercising, people are 3.5 times more likely to have a sudden cardiac arrest than having sex, which is 2.7 times more likely. This doesn't mean that you're exposed to a sudden cardiac arrest because of exercise or sex. The studied subjects suffered from heart problems such as heart rhythm of ventricular tachycardia or ventricular fibrillation. Now this shouldn't frighten you from having sex, as a study performed by the Caerphilly cohort study found that sexual activity in men seemed to have a protective effect on their health. They found that the mortality risk was 50% lower in the group with high orgasmic frequency than the group with low orgasmic frequency. In another study performed by leading doctors, they found that the deceased is usually married, but during the sudden cardiac arrest, they were not with a spouse and in an unfamiliar surrounding. These deaths usually occur after a big meal with alcohol. This study shows that men who were unfaithful were significantly more likely to experience fatal cardiac events than those who were faithful. Further studies also show that fatal outcomes of sex do occur more often when the person have consumed Viagra or any other cardiovascular affecting drugs such as cocaine. The researchers from Portland found that the victims of cardiac arrest influenced by sex only received CPR in 1/3 of the cases, and only 20% of the affected survived to hospital discharge. When CPR is not administered, the chance of survival decreases 10% for every minute. Now this doesn't mean at all that you'll experience a mortal outcome from having sex, so don't be afraid next time you get the chance. But don't forget to brush up on your CPR skills, as they might come in handy one day.